How did that all play into kind of starting the YouTube channel then, or was it the kind of love of beer, or did YouTube come first and the beer came second? How did it all happen?
Yeah, I guess YouTube came first and the beer second. Only in that, I mean, I consider myself an early adopter in terms of watching YouTube as a kind of consistent consumer of individuals' content rather than watching cat videos, if that makes sense.
I do like cat videos.
Well, I do, yeah. But when those kind of first preemptive channels that turned into what it is now, I was a big fan of those back. I mean, I don't know how many years ago we're talking now. We're talking 8-9 years ago, probably, when it was really starting to turn. Maybe even longer now. And I've always kind of sat there and gone, well, I really like photography and I like messing around with video editing, although I'm not that good at it and whatever. So I was like, I would like to do a YouTube channel. It's just a nice little creative outlet.
Yeah.
And it's always been one of those things where I probably think about it a couple of times a year and I go, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And eventually I get so annoyed that I couldn't pull off anything I thought was worth broadcasting. I bin it off and try again the next year. And then eventually during lockdown, as many people's I think journey started into exploring other things, but it was actually the third lockdown in the UK, January 21 anyway, when I was kind of went, just start something and then just do something and then figure out, which is why the channel is called TheCrumbyBeard, because it's not specific to anything.
Yeah.
It was sit down and just try and make some content and then just find your feet and do something with it. And the intention was always to do stuff largely from home. I don't have the time. A lot of the content that I watch are people going out and doing crazy things and spending hours on the road and all this stuff. So that was just not an option. So it was like, what can I do from home that still achieves these things? And it started off, the first obvious answer was food, but obviously it's very generic, very hard to get anywhere with because it's just a saturated place. And then I happened to stumble across one person. I can't even remember who it was now. I think it was Raggy's channel. It was also from Nottingham, weirdly enough, because I think I was looking up a beer. And I was like, oh, people are interested in beer. That's interesting, because I've always been interested in beer, but I always felt like I was talking to myself about it. So I thought, okay, let's experiment with this. Let's see where this goes. And then, yeah, here we go. A year later, and that's pretty much almost exclusively what the channel is. Not entirely. There's still some other odd bits and trying to move into a bit of whiskey content and all that sort of stuff as well, because it's something else that interests me. But as a whole, yeah, it's a beer channel. So
you kind of wanted to put yourself out there creatively, but you didn't quite know what you wanted to do at first.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Saw some channels and thought, I could do that fucking better.
Well, everyone says it. Everyone who gets most people who start a beer channel, I've seen be asked, why did you start your channel? And the answer is because I saw X person and thought, I can do that. Whereas mine was more, I was already there, and I was like, oh, but people are interested in that subject, so let's explore that a bit. But yeah, I think everyone sees content and thinks I could do that until they sit down and try and do it, and then you realise it's not quite as easy as you think it is. So
yeah,
but yeah, it's interesting nonetheless.
Now,
Sure. But yeah, speaking about highlights, is there anything from the past year or so that kind of really made you think this is pretty cool, this whole YouTube beer reviewing thing?
Yeah, so I think the bits that really stand out when you're doing it end up being the things that no one, if you said to people, you go, really, that was the bit when all these other things happened, that was the bit that you put. But it is oddly the small thing. So it's always great when you put a video out and it does way better than you expect and people watch it and you get some good feedback on it and everything else. I did a interview up at Glen Spean Brewing Co in the Highlands that went down really well. People really like that. I did a load of Brewdog content after the controversy. Again, went down relatively well.
Yeah,
big watch time, the rest of it. But I don't know. I always struggle a bit. It did need to be. What I said was
I think you said fuck Brewdog Stones for life. I think something like that. I can't quite remember what you said, but it was something like that.
Maybe I have to watch it back and find out. But it was helpful for people who weren't in a position to be able to watch the documentary themselves because they weren't in the UK or whatever. So it was basically a summary, which is fine. But it wasn't. It was something because lots of people. We did a live stream watch along of it to kind of a live instant reaction because we didn't know what were coming out in this documentary. And in the chat was a load of people from elsewhere in the world going, "We can't watch it. How do we watch it? What's going on?" Which you can't really explain properly while you're doing a live stream. So 2 days later, I released a video which was a summary of the points after I'd rewatched it again and going over. It was kind of a service to those people who want to know what was going on. But ultimately, it wasn't kind of the core reason I started the channel wasn't to just try and say bad things about any particular brewery or person. So it's a bit like, yes, this has done really well on views, but actually that's not that. The stats are nice, but it doesn't necessarily fill me with much joy. So honestly, the two big things that really kind of go, okay, I'm doing the right thing now, is when one of my favorite local breweries, already mentioned, Blue Monkey, started following me on Instagram. And then Monday morning, was it Monday morning? Tuesday morning, I woke up and Black Isle Brewery started following me.
Yes.
Awesome.
And I was like, okay, they're two of my favorites all time ever. So now I'm happy. That's just I don't know, a signifier that clearly something I'm doing is right, I guess.
Yeah,
totally. I get that. Like, I would run our Instagram account, and whenever like a brewery follows us, I always fire a screenshot to Tom. Look. Like,
it's always lovely to see. Yeah, it's always very lovely to see. Meeting your idols, I suppose. It's kind of like that, but without the disappointment.
Yeah, that's it. And I've ended up in some odd situations in the last year that you would. At one point in the last year, I ended up in a VIP box for a motor race as a result of this channel, which was just like
amazing.
Just like a. I won't go. I don't know how much people want divulging publicly. So it was a friend of mine was friends with another big channel with a racing driver and ended up with some tickets to that, which was great. Ended up doing a 24-hour charity live stream up at Lord's Brewing Co. in Huddersfield, which was just, basically 24 hours to run amok around a brewery. That was, that was great. So, all these little bits kind of compound. There's been some interesting ones, but yeah, it's those little signifiers that you're doing something right. They're the ones that really, I guess, stay with you for a little bit.
Definitely.
Yeah.